Let's shift to another Big 12 matchup, the one we just kind of alluded to. Colorado at Kansas, going to take place at Arrowhead, where Kansas is playing some of their home games this year. You got Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn and LaJohntay Wester on one side. You got Jalen Daniels. You got Neal. You've got Luke Grimm. You got all those guys on the other side.
Hishaw, the other running back.
Yeah.
Kansas, they've got a two-headed monster at tailback.
Yeah.
Hot take. This is the most exciting game of the weekend.
Yeah.
As far as the play on the field and the type of play that this is going to be, as far as the way the game will be played. High flying, a lot of points, a whole lot of points. This is going to be the most like fireworks that we're going to see in a game this week, in my opinion.
Yeah. Spread currently right now is Colorado minus 2.5. So obviously, I mean, yeah, it's two quarterbacks are studs. Kansas, again, you're going to look at the record and you're going to say, oh, they're 4-6. Like, how come they're only 2.5-point dogs against Colorado? Well, the Vegas still thinks very highly of the Kansas Jayhawks, and they think highly of Lance Leipold. He's always been a well-respected coach ever since he got to Kansas, and the turnaround job he's done there. Obviously, Dion is getting more respect on his name as an actual legit college football coach. You've got the Heisman frontrunner playing 120 snaps in this game. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to watch this game.
Yeah, and you've got a dude named Kobe Bryant and Mello that are the two corners for Kansas. So there's going to be some and both of those guys, by the way, are being touted as like future NFL corners.
Yeah.
So some of the matchups you're going to have in this game with a couple of the Kansas wide receivers who are really good going up against Travis Hunter. Same thing, Shador going. I know Shador is going against the Kansas defense, but still, Shador and Jalen Daniels, who are two very exciting college quarterbacks. One being a big-time pro prospect in Shador. The corners for Kansas that are really good, that are going up against a couple of those receivers for Colorado. To beat Colorado in the Big 12, we talked about this, I think, last night is when I talked about it. To beat Colorado in the Big 12, you've got to be able to outscore them. Because there aren't any teams in the Big 12 that have the, like, presence on the defensive line like an Ohio State, for example, or some of your SEC teams like an Ole Miss or an Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, you name it. Like, there aren't teams in the Big 12 that have those type of guys across their defensive line. They may have one guy like that or two guys, whatever. So to beat Colorado, you're going to have to outscore them. Kansas can do that. They absolutely can do that. With Jalen Daniels and these receivers and those two and that two-headed monster at tailback. Do you think that with Kansas with the dual threat capability of Jalen Daniels and the two-headed monster at tailback, do you think Colorado? I think this is the first time they've played in a couple of weeks that have the 100% capability to be just as good in the run game and passing game, like balanced to both sides. Do you think Kansas has some success in the run game here?
I think they do, but I mean, Colorado's defense is pretty good.
Yeah, they are.
And dude, I mean, just coming from me, I can't give Dion and everyone there like enough praise because I was super hard on them. I'm glad we're not sitting here like we were 12 months ago, just, fawning over a 3-9 football team.
Yeah.
Like they were some God's gift of football. Like they're an actual legit team this year. I'm not sure about the program as a whole, but the 2024 Colorado Buffaloes are 8-2. They've proved it on the field. They've stepped up their defense. They've had a couple clunkers, obviously, in Lincoln, and they lost a home game by 3 points against Kansas State. Yeah. And they somehow pull out that Kansas State game. We're talking about a top 10 Colorado team probably, and a team who's like fighting for an at-large bid in the playoff. But as good as I think their defense is, I also thought Iowa State's defense was pretty good. And we saw what Kansas did to them.
Yep.
So we've seen what Jalen Daniels can do when their offense is humming. Like you said, man, I think the total in this one's 59.5, 60. It's got a potential to be, it's that. I mean, it's got potential to be, I think it's got a potential to fly over that, like 38, 31, something like that.
I wonder if there's weather involved. That's low, man, for that. I'm gonna look that up. Like if you're looking that up, check that, man. Check see what the weather is on that because that's wild. It's that low. There's something I want to bring. I was talking about, like, you think Colorado can stop the run against against Kansas. In the game they lost against Kansas State, DJ Giddens, good tailback for Kansas State, who's very comparable to Devin Neal and Daniel Hishaw in this game. And I also have a dual threat quarterback. DJ Giddens had 185 yards rushing on 27 carries against Colorado in that game. And Kansas State won that game by 3. Now, on the flip side of that, when they went and played at Texas Tech, when Colorado went and played at Texas Tech, one of the best tailbacks, another one of the best tailbacks in the Big 12, and Taj Brooks, who led the Big 12 in rushing last year, who's had another good year for Texas Tech. He had 150-something yards rushing against Colorado, but it didn't matter. Colorado scored 41 points in that game. They weren't balanced. Texas Tech wasn't as balanced. They weren't as good in the pass game in that game. So, again, to beat Colorado in the Big 12, you have to be able to be balanced, run the football, try to keep the ball out of Shedeur and this offense's hands. I do think Kansas has the capability of do that. I think both of these teams are beyond comfortable and okay with being in an absolute track meet with one another. And I think both quarterbacks are comfortable with the game being put on their shoulders. I will say Jalen Daniels he hasn't done it in the last few weeks, but he's had issues with turning the football over. That was why they were losing games earlier in the year. They couldn't stop turning the ball over. I think they had like 5 or 6 turnovers against UNLV earlier in the year when UNLV upset them. So there's the key to the game. If Colorado, with Travis Hunter and those pass rushers that they've got, if they can cause Kansas to turn the ball over a couple times and Shedeur in that offense just does what they've done all year, I think Colorado wins this game. If Kansas doesn't turn the football over, then I think they have a chance to absolutely pull the upset here and win this game.
Weather looks great. Mid-50s, 5 to 10 mile per hour winds.
59 or 60 is the total?
Yeah. 59.5 right now.
I have not had any luck giving out totals, but I might have to jump on that. I'm going to have to, I'm looking at it. Kansas, 45 to 36 against Iowa State, 29-27 against Kansas State, 42 to 14 against Houston, 35-31, 38-27, 32. I mean, dude, every one of these that I'm looking at, almost all of them are over.
Yeah, I know. And Colorado's, obviously, they beat Utah 49-24. They beat Texas Tech 41-27. So it's almost too easy.
Against UCF.
It's almost too easy of an over.
I'm freaked out. I can't. I'm on the spot and I'm freaking out a little bit, so I can't do it.
Winner of the game, though. I mean, that's a tough one to pick a winner on. I mean, I could see it going both ways.
Agreed. If you made me pick it, I say that the Colorado finds a way.
Okay,
they find a way because I do think that to beat Kansas, you have to be able to outscore them, and I think Colorado can.